Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'd like to welcome you to this video and also thank you for lending me your ears as I talk and give my thoughts and opinions on how Luke Skywalker was portrayed in this film, The Last Jedi. Luke Skywalker, the son of the powerful Darth Vader, the man who crippled the Empire and thwarted the legendary Darth Sidious's plans, essentially putting an end to the rule of two, a legacy passed down by the Sith, the sworn enemy of the Jedi. His tale begins in Tatooine. He finds his protector Obi-Wan Kenobi, who ends up teaching him and guiding him through the ways of the Force. Young Skywalker gets caught up in the fight against the tyranny of the Empire, helping to put an end to its cruel and oppressing reign. Last time we see Luke in the original trilogy is where he stands triumphant. He has redeemed his father and brought balance back to the Force. So, the next time we catch up with Luke is at the end of The Force Awakens. We hear how he has failed as a master. He has brought himself into exile and resides on the Jedi homeworld of Ahch-To. I just want to start with saying that I'm a fan of Star Wars, and I've been a fan for many years. I loved the extended universe, the now called Legends aspect, and respected what Disney was trying to do when they introduced that title, creating a new slate for them to work with. In this segment I will talk about Luke in The Last Jedi, and address why this Luke feels just a bit strange. In The Last Jedi, Luke is portrayed brilliantly once again by Mark Hamill, the original casting for the character. He does an excellent job at showing how broken and defeated Luke is in the movie, showing the struggles he is having in terms of accepting himself and accepting his actions. He is highly reminiscent of Yoda in Empire, but with a darker tone. Luke in this film has failed. He has failed as a master and attempted to strike down his nephew, Ben Solo, in a moment of panic and confusion when he senses Ben's descent to the dark side. By the end of the movie, we see how Luke has confronted his fears of failure, and in doing so, he has projected himself to face his greatest threat yet, Kylo Ren, and he does so in order to apologize in the hopes that Ben will forgive him. Luke also takes a moment before this to show up briefly to talk to Leia, handing her the dice from the Falcon, a gesture of condolence which she appreciates. After these scenes take place, we meet Luke back on Ahch-To, looking out at the binary sunset as he fades away and becomes one with the Force. So now that I've addressed how the film portrays Luke, I want to just say that in my opinion, Luke's characteristics in this film do feel rather odd. Firstly, I want to say some, if not all, actions that Luke take make little to no sense. At the end of Return of the Jedi, we see how Luke has turned his father back to the light, a villain that has been the ultimate evil of the galaxy. Vader's descent into darkness was set in stone. We see this through films, books, comics and other bits of lore in the Star Wars universe. Yet Luke redeems him with the goodness of his heart, making him remember that good outweighs the bad. But yet, in this film, Jedi Master Luke Skywalker, after spending years of training teaching countless students, decides to attempt to kill his nephew in his sleep because he senses a bit of dark in him. That makes no sense lore-wise, how a Jedi Master would do this, let alone to his nephew. In the film, we hear as it even tries to correct itself, realizing that this was a bad plot point to play on. It was only for a split second, Luke says, trying to justify his actions to Rey. Secondly, to further push home the fact that this envision of Luke Skywalker is highly strange, is the fact that when he's handed his long lost lightsaber, instead of admiring the fact that this relic has returned to him after countless years, or getting a rushback of memories of Obi-Wan and the likes, he just tosses it over his shoulder, totally ignoring the fact that this is an item of unimaginable history and importance to the character and fans alike. The third point I want to address is why is it that Luke is being made to seem like he's gaining experience and knowledge in the Force and developing his own abilities as a person and mentor in the recent canon material of Star Wars prior to this. This is evident in such material such as the comics, the books and the recent Battlefront 2 game. Yet, all of this wisdom he gains is disregarded to forcefully push this horrible adaptation of the character in The Last Jedi. In Battlefront 2, we see how Luke is learning more and more of the Force, that it works in mysterious ways, and he seeks teaching from the likes of the Force trees and Jedi holocrons. It's just a bit strange that it gets disregarded so easily, and almost forgotten in this film. And the fourth and final point I want to address is the fact that Mark Hamill himself, the actor who is Luke Skywalker, disliked the direction his character was being taken. We see in many interviews how Hamill states he wished that Luke had a better role in the recent movies. Even Mark Hamill's body movements and facial expressions are full of disdain when asked to talk about Luke in the upcoming films. Mark seemed to love Luke, and loved the thought of Luke being a mighty master in the future. He sounded excited to hear it back in 2012, when he would reprise the role of Skywalker once again, but then after reading the script it seemed like he wasn't as impressed. As a fan, it's hard to come to terms with the fact that the Luke in The Last Jedi is the canon version of Luke. He dies a decrepit old pissed off man, sitting alone on an island after years of torturing himself over his failures. There are no acts of mighty mastery showing his proficiency with the Force, bar one scene. There are no saber battles, there are no feats of power to rival that of the Clone Wars. There's just nothing. Luke in The Last Jedi is a worthless old man, void of features that made him the icon that fans fell in love with, and honestly, I don't know how to feel about this. It just feels like it's not the Luke that I remember. But hey, this is all just my opinion. Thanks for watching.